So I came across a teaching method that's it's pretty fascinating and definitely unexpected. It's happening in a sixth grade classroom, of all places, and it's bringing together ancient stories and modern math.
Okay, let's just jump right in with this question, because it really gets to the heart of what we're looking at. I mean, at first glance, what could Noah's Ark and a number line possibly have in common? They seem like they're from completely different universes, right? Well, we're about to see how they're being used together to unlock some really fundamental math concepts.
So, to really get how this works, we need to set the stage for this, let's call it an unlikely couple. We're talking about a curriculum that basically argues that the best path to understanding abstract numbers might just run through some very, very old stories.
So here's the core idea, and it's pretty clever. You take something totally abstract, like rational numbers, and you ground it in something familiar, something concrete. In this case, it's stories that a lot of students might have already heard. It's this amazing attempt to use storytelling to make the intangible, tangible.
All right, so that's the big idea. But how does it actually play out in a classroom? Let's dive into the first key example they use, a loaf among thousands.
So the curriculum takes this super famous story from the Gospel of John and just reframes it. All of a sudden, it's not just a miracle, it's a math problem, a problem about division and fractions. The question becomes, how can you actually quantify what each person got?
And the way they break it down is so simple, it's kind of brilliant. You identify the items you have, in this case, 5 loaves, and you put that number over the size of the group, which is 5,000 people. And just like that, a story becomes a math equation, 5 over 5,000. And this is just classic math, right? You simplify the fraction. It's the next logical step. 5 out of 5,000 suddenly becomes 1 out of 1,000. It's the exact same value, but it's just so much easier for our brains to wrap around.
And this is where it really clicks. You turn that fraction into a decimal, and it becomes even more real. Suddenly, 1,000th of a loaf isn't just an abstract idea anymore. It's a specific, tiny amount, 0.001, that each person, in theory, received. It feels totally concrete.
And what's great is they don't just stop there. The method gets applied again, consistently. You do the exact same thing with the 2 fish. 2 divided by 5,000, that simplifies to 1 over 2,500, which is an even tinier decimal. This kind of repetition really helps the process stick. Okay, so we've seen this method in action with the loaves and the fish. Let's just pause for a second and pull back. It's time to put an official name to the core mathematical principle that's actually at play here: rational numbers. You know what's so smart about this? The timing. They give you the formal definition of a rational number after you've already played with a real story-based example. It's like the curriculum is saying, see, you already get this. Now here's the official name for it.
Okay, now that we have that term in our back pocket, let's look at another story. We're about to see how this approach builds a really consistent and pretty powerful teaching pattern throughout the whole lesson.
Wow, okay, this slide is just perfect. It lays it all out so clearly, side by side. On the left, you've got the story detail. 2/3 of the animals are saved. And on the right, boom, there it is, visualized on a number line. The story gives real meaning to that little mark on the line, and the number line gives a precise structure back to the story. And it just keeps going. The lesson really hammers this concept home by tying it to other famous accounts. The abstract fraction 2/3 gets anchored to the story of Daniel. The fraction 1/4 gets connected to the remnant of Israel. Every story gives you a new hook to hang the same mathematical idea on. So, after looking at all these examples, from loaves and fishes to Noah's Ark, what's the big takeaway here? Let's zoom out for a second and look at what makes this teaching method so powerful. This is really the heart of it all. This is the whole point. The big idea here is that stories give our brains a framework, a kind of mental hook to hang these abstract ideas on. It just makes them easier to understand, more relatable, and, in the end, way more memorable.
And that leaves us with a really fascinating thought to end on. I mean, this curriculum uses these specific biblical stories, but the principle itself is universal, right? It could work with fairy tales, myths, even a popular movie. So it kind of begs the question, and I'll leave you with this to think about: if you could use any story to teach a complex idea, which one would you pick?